Welcome to the Vendée Globe Live English edition. I'm Ryan Braymeyer here on the 8th day of December, 30th day of the race from a bright and sunny Les Sables d'Olonne. Today we have a special guest, three-time Vendée Globe competitor Sam Davies, who's live with us from Cape Town, where she's repairing her damaged Imoca 60 in order to continue her adventure instead of racing around the world. Thanks for being here with us today, Sam.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to continue sharing what's going on with Initiative Care with everybody back there.
Excellent. So general situation today after a month of racing, basically our leading pack and their boats are feeling pressure, both the men and the machines, and women and the machines. Notably Damien Seguin, who's got pilot problems, Louis Burton, who's repairing sails. Basically all the competitors have reported a litany of issues, small issues, as you might imagine, one per day per competitor, due to more or less a week in very rough conditions. So Sam, everybody is hot to know exactly what your plan is, and when we're going to see you back out on the water in the washing machine that is the Southern Ocean at the moment.
Well, the plan, everything's going to plan, almost better. So we've brought Initiative Care into East Key Boatyard in Cape Town, where the famous Manuel Mendes is looking after us. And we thought we weren't going to be able to haul out until Thursday, but now he's managed to create miracles, and we should be coming out tomorrow morning. The cradle, I don't know if you can see, they're building the cradle just behind me here, which is an old Hugo Boss cradle that we got left here a few years ago. So that's pretty lucky. There's all the surveys are going on the boat already, and obviously that's going to continue once we haul out and take the keel out to check the underwater part and the keel bearings and the keel pins and the keel head. We'll obviously have to make another assessment once everything's taken to bits. But the plan is to try and get back out before Monday midday. That's kind of our timing that we're trying to keep to. And if all goes to plan and there's nothing more than what we've already discovered, then that should be easily doable. So that's really exciting. I don't think I'll be able to join the group, but hopefully I won't be far behind the last competitors in the race, and that's cool because then that will give me a bit of motivation to try and catch them up, so I'm not completely alone in the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. That's honestly better than I was expecting to hear, especially seeing the boat behind you still in the water. Sam, have you found anything major other than what you've already shown us in videos, or is it all looking pretty okay at the moment?
No. Well, the big thing is the bulkheads around the keel box. But the new ones are already in fabrication, so then they'll be just put into the boat once we're out of the water. And we haven't found any more damage, and so it seems like I've got a really solid boat that has looked after me really well. And I think the modifications we've done over the last couple of years with the return on experience from Alex, especially with his accident last year. We did some structural modifications, and I think that's probably saved my boat and maybe me from further damage. But obviously, we won't be able to confirm all that until we're out of the water tomorrow and all the bits are apart. But from everything we're seeing, it's optimistic, which is good. But obviously, I'm not going to take any risks. I know my sponsors don't want me to take any risks. Nobody does, so we're doing the job properly and taking our time as well. Because obviously, I've still got pretty much the whole of the Southern Ocean to do, and so the boat needs to be in good shape. But yeah, everything else, the boat is in perfect shape. There's nothing else wrong, so it's good. We don't have any other jobs on the list to do.
Perfect. That sounds great. Listen, I wanted you to give me a little bit of contrast between life on board and life ashore. I've heard Yannick Besteven describe life on board as living like a wild pig, eating off of the floor and getting around on hands and knees. And yet for you, I've seen some interesting video of a haircut.
I suddenly realized when I got here, and I got to the hotel on the first night, I'd forgotten that I'd cut my hair with the boat building scissors in the first week, and so I looked at my head and I was like, oh my God, I wasn't planning on anyone seeing me for the next 2 months. So I had a bit of work to do to make myself human again, so that people didn't look at me in strange ways here. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely totally different. And I'm on the WhatsApp group with all the skippers, and so I can see how hard it is for them, because they're obviously chatting to each other. And I sent them a message the other day when they were complaining. I was like, look, okay, yeah, you might want to stop, but personally, I'd much rather be out there in a washing machine on my boat than stuck here in Cape Town. So everything's relative, and but for sure, life on board these boats in the Southern Ocean is very, very hard. And yeah, sometimes you use more energy preparing the meal than there are calories in the meal. That's how difficult life is on these boats, and so I'm making the most of this stop over to get back some energy and be ready to be full on once I'm back out there.
That sounds great. Hey, one thing, we have a question from Remy on the Facebook asking, what is the scariest experience you've ever had at sea, Sam?
Well, I think hitting what I hit was pretty scary. Just last week, I honestly thought that the keel was going to fall out the bottom of the boat and that I was in big danger. So it was very, very scary, and I'm not denying that it's going to be really, really hard to go back out there, because obviously that memory is very fresh in my head, and but that's also the reason why I want to go, is because I need to put that behind me and get over it, and so I know that was a very scary moment, and it will probably be very scary when I see Cape Town disappear behind me and realize I'm on my own again. But that's part of this adventure, and that's part of the Vendée Globe.
Absolutely. Well, I have a feeling some of the competitors are having their scariest moments right now in their first low pressure systems. Listen, I'm going to go through the rankings, then I want to talk about a couple of things. One about the foundation that you represent, and two, your views on the race and all the other competitors. In the first part of the rankings, Charlie Dallin is still at the head of the leading group, trying to rest ahead of a front as long as possible, whereas Thomas Royan has conceded that he won't be able to keep up and tries to head north to escape a pounding in second place. Meanwhile, Yannick Besteven has managed to get himself into third, a combination of positioning on the race course, also knowing when to put his foot down, while other people are pausing the racing to fix broken bits of their boats. Isabelle Joschke has been one of the fastest of the pack over the last 24 hours, although everybody behind the front has their foot on the brakes to let the worst of the load clear out ahead. In the second part of the rankings, only Armel Tripon is going to make it past the South African low-pressure system we were talking about yesterday, and likely will put about 200 miles on the rest of the pack of four that he was with. In our internationals, we find Didac Costa and Pip Hare 19th and 20th, still enjoying fairly easy conditions. In the third group, the back markers, they're just starting to get into Southern Ocean conditions, especially the southmost boats of that pack. We have Miranda Marin and Ari Huzela, Miranda in 22nd, Ari in 25th, who seem to, Ari is a bit further north, only moving at about 8 knots. Kojiro Shirashi 26th, and Jeremy Bayou 28th. He has finally found wind, VMG sailing at around 19 knots in 19 knots of breeze. So he is really ready to put the hammer down, it seems like. So Sam, for 4 years, when we prepare these boats, it's all about speed and reliability. But now, in talking with all the competitors, the main points when racing seem to be more the ability to mentally deal with conditions, sailing smart, and not necessarily drag racing, which is an interesting sort of conundrum that we face. What do you think about that?
It's definitely a different world down there in the Southern Ocean, and even when you've got 20 knots, it feels like you've got 25, 30. The wind is so dense, and the sea state obviously is always way bigger than what we're used to training with in the North Atlantic. So yeah, we haven't had these conditions really to practice in and learn how to use our boats, or especially the new generation of boats, and maybe that's what's missing as well. And so we're discovering how the user manual for foiling boats down there, and how to handle them and get the best out of them and look after them. And for sure, there's some great old boats doing really, really well, and it's not surprising.
Yeah, it's all about decision making, I guess. Big decisions like this are what we've been discussing every morning in the weather briefing with Christian Dumars and Seb Joss, and it's an important part of the briefing. You know, what decision are the competitors going to take? Where are they going to end up? And here's maybe a little bit of éclairage, as we say in French, just shining a bit of light on the subject of the weather and our decisions that we need to make. Vendée Globe weather and Vendée Globe choices are always difficult. The front of our pack faces a little bit of choices this morning, as do the leading part of the after part of the pack, which we'll talk about later. Our front runners here, Charlie Dallin with Apivia and Thomas Royan with LinkedIn. They found themselves ahead of the main part of the front in this small low pressure system which is formed on the front. So this is the main front here, with a small low which is formed around it. They both have accelerated as much as possible to try to stay in it. Still very difficult to stay ahead of it. The front's moving faster than they are. They're finding it difficult to progress in the big waves, with wind basically from the north, a tiny bit northwest. These are the routings which are done by the computer. They have them diving south with the wind, which keeps them, as the system moves south and east with them, it keeps them in big waves and 40 knots of breeze, 6-meter waves, 40 knots of breeze. The trajectory of these two boats is not exactly as the routing suggests. In fact, they're staying more north. Linked Out's position in actuality is more here, and Apivia is continuing basically on a straight easterly course. What this does is it allows the depression to move south and them to move out of it quicker. Unfortunately, what it means is that they're closer to the waves, sailing across the waves, which isn't as good as going with them, and it's keeping their speed lower, which means they're not getting quite the break that they wanted, or the break that we've been talking about for the last couple of days on the pack. Second part, within our group of four in the small low coming off of South Africa, here we see Occitane, La Fabrique, and Time for Oceans. The low is approaching. The wind is coming more north and northeasterly, which is basically going to put these guys upwind. You have L'Occitane here. He has a bit of advance already. Plus, he's got a much more recent, faster boat. He will be able to scoot along the ice limit, whereas the other three boats in the pack will actually have to tack and then start moving easterly again, which puts them across the low pressure system. But what that does is it prevents them later on from having to sail upwind in 40 knots of breeze and 5-meter waves. This is a bit what we talked about before, but it has played out as predicted. Occitane will make the break and find their way into the high. Unfortunately for the three pursuers, they will not. They definitely have to go north, because otherwise they're going to find themselves in terrible conditions. Those are the big choices for today for our groups. Everyone else is sailing along in much more stable breeze as we speak. All right, Sam. After all that, I wanted to make sure that we have an opportunity today to talk about the foundation that you represent, because it's something that I think a lot of the Vendée Globe fans who are not French don't really have a great handle on, and I think it's amazing, and I really would like you just to go through it quickly for me if you could.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I want to carry on as well, because I'm obviously racing. I'm competitive. I like trying to do the best I can and the competition, but also I'm here for another reason, and that's to support the charity. It's a charity called Mécénat Chirurgie Cardiaque, difficult to say in English, and it's helped save lives of kids who are born with heart defects or have heart problems in countries where they can't get their surgery. Basically, poor countries, a lot of African countries, And the charity works by bringing these kids to France, and then they get put up with host families, and they get their heart surgery, they get fixed, they get better, and then once they're well again, then they go back home to their family, and in most cases they never need any treatment ever again. It's obviously big major surgery, but in a way it's crazy that in this day and age that in some countries people are deprived of this life-saving opportunity, and so it's great to be able to help. And it costs 12,000 euros basically to save one kid's life. I'm supported by my 3 sponsors, Initiative K-Line and Vinci Energy, who are not just sponsors, but they're also donators to the charity. And so they give money in exchange for lots of following on our social media. So for every new follower on the Facebook Initiative Care page and on the Initiative Care Instagram, my 3 sponsors give €1 to the charity. And so that's how it works. So the public can help me and support me for free by just clicking on the social media and telling all their friends and sharing and making, passing the message on. And then it's my sponsors who give the money. So it's free to help. And that's why I'm keen to carry on. That's why, obviously, I love sharing what I do. I enjoy the filming and sending back stories about what's going on. But I'm doubly motivated to do that because I know the more I share about this adventure, then the more people are going to follow, and then the more money we'll be able to raise to help save kids' lives.
That's great. As the father of 2 young girls, that's awesome, and I'm so impressed that this is going on, and it's just amazing. Listen, another thing that I'm very impressed with, I've had the opportunity in the last few days to talk to all of the women in the Vendée Globe fleet, and I have to say that to a person, they've all got an amazing level of positive energy, an amazingly high energy level to begin with, and they all seem to be making great decisions. They all are sailing far ahead of the potential of their boats, pretty much. It's great. I talked to Clarisse Cremer today on Live Link, and I wanted to let you see that real quick, and then we can talk about it for a minute. How is it on what basically is the first Southern Ocean wind train?
Well, it's tricky conditions. Right now it's a bit better because the wind is a bit lower, but tonight it's going to be more wind again. So I don't know what to do with my sails right now. The problem is the waves because there is quite a lot of waves and it's in all the directions, so the boat doesn't really like it, and it's very hard to go fast because you just stop in the waves and the boat gets completely taken by the waves, so it's not really easy to sail in these conditions. Right now I don't have so much wind because it's like between 20 and 25 knots, and tonight I will have to put a small sail again for the night because the wind is going to come back. It's hard because I'm not going as fast as I would like to, but I think it's impossible to do really fast in this kind of waves, so I'm discovering this.
It is a voyage of discovery. How is it sailing next to Romain constantly? Do you guys speak on the VHF or through WhatsApp?
Yeah, we talk a lot via WhatsApp. It's nice because we talk quite openly. I mean, we're not fighting for the first place, so we talk about the sales we have and we talk about the issues we have, and it's quite nice. I hope I'm going to be able to stay not too far from him, so I'm trying to do that.
Speaking of Romain, I have Sam Davies on the live show later today. She says she's going to restart. Do you have anything a message for Sam?
I think it's incredible, and it shows how I think Sam is a great sailor, and the fact that she wants to finish anyway, even if she's not in the race anymore, it shows how passionate she is about sailing, and I can only encourage her. I was so disappointed for her, and I'm so happy that she can go back at sea. I think it's a great thing.
So kind words from Clarisse. Sam, what was it like your first trip in the Southern Ocean?
my first trip, I was actually lucky enough to be with a crew and on a trophy Jules Verne. I was only 22, and I think I'd never been as scared ever in my life before as I was then. But I was surrounded by some amazing women sailors who still my very good friends and have actually been supporting me really well over the last few days, sending me a lot of messages to get looked after and here in Cape Town. And then my first time solo in the Vendée Globe, well, I've been watching Scariest, and it's reminded me a lot of me on Roxy. In 2008, I feel like we had very similar opportunities and similar approach, and it's great to see Clarice doing so well and enjoying it. And we've been in touch a lot, and yeah, it reminds me of that discovery. And I remember saying to Clarice, I was like, just don't worry, enjoy it. You're going to learn so much, and you're going to, don't worry about not knowing stuff, because you're going to learn as you go along. And when you come back, you're just going to be a completely changed sailor with so much experience. And so I'm really happy she's doing as well as she is, and it's great to follow.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, listen, Sam, thank you very much for being with us today, and good luck with getting everything finished as quickly as possible and get that thing back out on the race course. Maybe not the race course,
yeah, well,
but
we need to keep our fingers crossed over the next 24 hours to make when we haul out that there's no bad surprise. But we'll keep everyone informed of the progress and let you know as soon as possible the next steps.
All right, well, there we have it. Sam Davies live from Cape Town. That's it's an amazing story, and it's going to continue to be an amazing story, I'm sure. You know, I think one thing that was interesting is that boats a couple of years ago, or a couple of generations ago, were quite a bit easier than the foilers of today, such as the foiler of MSASF of Isabel Joschka. I had the pleasure of having Isabel on the telephone this morning as well.
Oh yes, it's getting difficult. Oh yes, it was difficult to get acclimated, and I think I am not totally acclimated to the Southern Ocean. I think Vendée Globe is difficult mentally in every little step of it. First, it's because you know you're going to go into these southern seas, and then you are in these southern seas, and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna stay here for 40 days. My God." And then it's just a doubt: will I survive all this? Will my boat survive all this? And so it's many doubts. And I must say, yeah, I feel like much vulnerable, more than I would in the Atlantic Ocean.
I have Sam Davies on the live show with me this afternoon. During the race, did you spend some time talking with Sam or before?
Yeah. We did send a message. She sent messages when she just to congratulate when I repaired my stanchion, and just right now I just understood that she's about to finish the race. I mean, out of the race, but just to finish the course, which I am totally amazed that she will do, and really impressed, because it's a really long way from where she is, and it's another way to be not anymore in the race. So I just read this from her a few minutes ago. So I am so impressed and happy that she has all this courage.
Well, that was an amazing conversation I had earlier today with Isabel. She's great, speaks 3 languages, is crushing it, you know, up at the front of the fleet with all the new boats in her refit boat. It really is just amazing to see. You know, that's the nice thing about the Vendée Globe and single-handed sailing, is that physical strength is secondary to good decision making and being smart about what you do. Well, listen, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us on the Vendée Globe Live. Make sure to tune in on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll see you this evening at 6:30 for the Flash.